Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. You know what today is, the official traditional National Signing Day for 2/2/22. And what a weird day it has been. By the way, good to have you with us. Phil Kornblum, Pat Daniel here in Columbia. Chris Bergen, voice of the Chanticleers basketball team, with the team in Texas. The weather is so bad. He's in Arlington, Texas. They've called off the basketball game tomorrow night between Coastal and UT Arlington. So no basketball game tomorrow night for the Chants because of that. And no telling when Mr. Bergen will join us again. We have no idea what his travel plans are and what he's up to. We wish him well in his new ventures out there in Texas. Anyway, weird around here in that no signees today, no new signees for South Carolina. So everything that they did back in December, those signees, they stand as the scholarship class to this point. They did introduce some new transfers, some PWOs, some from other schools and one high school. So we'll talk about that as we go over some names for South Carolina. DQ Smith did not sign with South Carolina officially. He went through a signing ceremony at Spring Valley High School, but he is not going to count in this class for South Carolina. His coach, Robin Bacon, had told us last week when we checked on him that he understood, was told, believed he was going to count in this class. He was not going to be a blue shirt, but he will be a blue shirt, meaning he can come in the summer. He can work out with the team and all that kind of stuff, but he will not count on scholarship until August, which means he can now count on the 23 class. So the Gamecocks technically in the DQ Smith have their first commitment for the 2023 class. Clemson, different story. All the players who had committed to the Tigers who had not signed, the more recent commitments, everybody signed as planned. We'll go over that in a moment. The Tigers also added to their class today the running back, Keith Adams Jr., out of Utah, kind of expected. And he signed, of course. He's a legacy recruit for the Tigers, following in the footsteps of his dad. The Tigers this afternoon also signed linebacker T.J. Dudley out of Montgomery, Alabama, a guy that was originally committed to Oregon and decommitted from Oregon after the coaching change there. Went into an official visit with Clemson last weekend. Texas was involved. Some others. Good-looking kid. Very productive linebacker in his career there in Montgomery. And he signed with the Tigers, and he had not previously publicly committed. And the Tigers also won the battle for defensive tackle Caden Story out of Lynette, Alabama. That's the kid who had been committed to Auburn. When Nick Eason was hired by Clemson, that changed everything. He, too, visited Clemson officially a couple of weeks ago. Then he went to Florida this past weekend. Of course, Auburn was still in the hunt, too, but it turned out to be Clemson for him. So that was another good get for the Tigers. The one they did not get, the running back Andrew Paul out of Dallas, Texas, as he signed with the Georgia Bulldogs today. So Georgia's ability to reel in major talent running backs continues. They get it done when it comes to the running back position. So those are the headlines from today as far as South Carolina Clemson are concerned. Of course, schools around the state signing classes up today. We'll go over some of those names for you. We're going to hear from Dabo Sweeney and from Shane Beamer. The other, of course, big news today was South Carolina. Well, a couple of things on both ways. With South Carolina, of course, you know that Eric Kimry, Connor Shaw are leaving the program at South Carolina. The two stories broken this morning, both by Gamecock Central. one by Mike Uva and one by Chris Clark. So kudos to them for good work there. And they are leaving to do other things. Eric Kimry is going to become the head football coach at the Baylor School in Chattanooga, which is a private school, uppity private school, kind of what he came from in Hammond. No offense, folks, but it's one of those pricey private schools. And so he's going there. It's a big time private school there in Chattanooga. The headmaster there used to be the headmaster at Hammond. And apparently this has been in the works for a little bit. And so, the only thing, and I haven't talked to Eric Kimry about anything regarding this. It is a bit of a strange move from an outsider's viewpoint in that it appeared that he wanted to be a college coach for many, many years. And not only did he become a college coach, he got to become a college coach at his alma mater in his hometown. And he had the luxury of never having to move his family and the luxury of being in his alma mater at a place he loved. And so all of a sudden now you up and leave after 1 year to go back to a private high school situation to coach. I mean, that kind of leaves you as an outsider looking at it, kind of scratching your head a little bit and going, what's the real deal here? Is this job so good that you just couldn't turn it down? Maybe the demands of a college coach were too much. Being away from the family a lot for recruiting and everything. Let's face it, it's a different demand on a college coach than a high school coach for sure. Then again, there are the persistent rumors among Gamecock fans. You see them on the message boards, you hear them on the shows, that there are issues with Marcus Satterfield, the offensive coordinator. There's some hard feelings. There's some raw feelings, however you want to, word it. There's some things that have happened, are happening, that couldn't be resolved, and people are leaving. And now Connor Shaw is, according to Shane Beamer, leaving because he's got an opportunity back in the business world to do really, really well financially. Shaw put out a 80-something second video on Twitter, pretty much saying the same thing. He's got some opportunity. He's got an opportunity to do something really big in the private sector, and he's decided to do that. With Connor, it's kind of been hit and miss with him. He took a job at Furman, stayed there a brief time, went into the business world, took the situation at South Carolina, was there a couple of years. Now it's pretty evident, at least right now, that, being a coach at the level he has to coach is not what he wants to be, I guess. I don't want to speak for him, but just look at the actions as he goes in and out of the coaching profession. So now it looks like he's moving on into the business world to pursue something there. Shane Beamer made it a very strong point to say that there's nothing wrong here. There's nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing going on behind the scenes that would lead you to think that there's a problem anywhere with anything. That's what he said today at his press conference, that everything's cool. These were just opportunities. In fact, he said he had other coaches who've had multiple opportunities since the season to go to other schools in the SEC and ACC and have chosen to stay at South Carolina. So the bottom line of all of this is that, as it stands right now with what South Carolina has, this is not a disaster for South Carolina. I mean, you can replace Eric Kimry. No, that's no knock on him. You can replace Eric Kimry. You can replace Connor Shaw. That's no knock on him. They can be replaced. You could think about replacing, if you wanted to, you could think about, if he wants it and you want to do it, you could think about replacing Eric Kimry with Pat DeMarco right there inside your program. And Pat DeMarco was a tight end H-back type of player. So you got him right inside your building if that's something you wanted to do and he wants to do. But Beamer said he's not going to rush the decision on a new tight ends coach. He wants somebody, of course, that he will be the right fit for them there. So that's the story at South Carolina with all of that. Meantime, at Clemson, besides the stuff going on with recruiting, they had a board of trustees meeting today where they did the new contracts for a number of different members of the staff, and some new titles were handed out, and the new people inside the program who've been reported on previously were formally announced. So For example, the new title changes like Thomas Austin, the offensive line coach. Tyler Grisham is now the recruiting coordinator. Mike Reed becomes the assistant head coach, also special teams coordinator. Jordan Sorrells is the senior director of recruiting and player development. Let's see. Abe Reed is the senior director of equipment and facility coordinator. Robbie Caldwell, director of high school relations and sophomore transition. Mike Dooley, director of football operations and player personnel. DJ Gordon, director of football ops, external affairs. Paul Anderson, director of football academics and freshman transition. Ty Clements, director of recruiting strategy. Joe Robbins, director of football creative media. Zach Fulmer, director of recruiting operations. Josh Wall, associate director of recruiting and high school relations. Anna Kate Gunn, assistant director of player development and freshman transition. And DeAndre McDaniel, senior defensive assistant. All right, so those are some of the new titles handed out by Clemson. As far as the money handed out today and some of the new contracts, Mike Reed, he gets a total compensation increase to $750,000. And Joey Batson, no change in his compensation, but an additional year on his contract through 25. Lemansky Hall adds a year to his contract. His compensation goes up to $625. Thomas Austin will start out his he's getting an increase from $200 to $450. He's got a 2-year contract. C.J. Spiller raised from $300 to $450. 1 year added to his contract. Tyler Grisham, 1 year added to his contract. He goes to $450. And some others. Woody McCorvey gets a raise from $380 to $500. A year added to his contract. Mike Dooley, he's raised to $325, gets another year. Jeff Davis is raised to $315, gets an additional year. Jordan Sorrells is making $315 now, gets another year on his contract. Danny Pearman, no change, still making $250 for the year added to his contract. Robbie Caldwell goes from $640 down to $250, but gets an additional year on his contract. So I have to tighten the belt there, Robbie. That's a pretty good pay cut from $640 down to $250. Hope he can live with it. DJ Gordon gets 2 years added to his contract, and he goes from $140 to $250,000. Bill Spires, special assistant to special teams and offensive analyst, he goes from $135 to $250. Also, the soccer coach, Mike Noonan, had a 2 years added to his contract, which runs through 27, and his salary goes from $310 to $400. All right, there you go with all of that. You know, these are times of inflation, so you got to pay. You got to pay. They got to eat too. Football coaches have to eat too. You're eating well at Clemson. So that's the story. That's the skinny. I want to get your react. We'll do that after the break. 888-898-2525. We'll hear from Sweeney, and we'll hear from Shane Beamer. Oh, it's an SC Wild night tonight as well. 7:30, Major Billy Downer will be here to talk about the great outdoors, and we'll be back.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Hey, this is Major Billy Downer with DNR, and coming up tonight at 7:30, another edition of SC Wild on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Sports Talk here on National Signing Day number 2 for the 2022 class. Get to your phone calls in just a second. Let me go over a few other signing day notes. Malik Heath is not going to South Carolina, the wide receiver transfer from Mississippi State. He committed to Ole Miss, going from Mississippi State to Mississippi. I had a feeling he wasn't coming this way. I mean, he grew up in Mississippi, went to junior college in Mississippi, went to Mississippi State, and Ole Miss was going after him, and they've got a quarterback too. So he's going to go to Ole Miss. And let's see, we talked about DQ Smith, talked about Andrew Paul. USC added more preferred walk-ons in its class. Transfer kicker, place kicker Jack Luckhurst, 6'3", 175 from Arizona State. He kicked one field goal in his time at Arizona State. That was against UCLA. He had some extra points, but didn't get a chance to kick a whole lot. He kicked 16 field goals in high school with a long of 51. That was a 49-yarder he hit against UCLA in December of 2020. Did not attempt to kick last season. So he'll come in and compete. And these guys are already in school. Another is former Chapman star running back DJ Twitty. I remember him in high school, 6 feet, 220. Played the last 3 seasons at East Tennessee State after redshirting in 2018. He rushed for over 2,000 yards and 32 touchdowns as a high school senior, had over 6,000 career rushing yards and 70 touchdowns at Chapman, but only 36 yards last season for the Bucks. Also, PWO transfer linebacker Colin Bryant of Alabama. He was a walk-on. He's out of Wando, did not play this past season for the Crimson Tide. And PWO cornerback Noah Abrams, 5'11", 175. He's out of Powder Springs, Georgia. All added to the USC class. Ridgeview offensive tackle Trey Franklin signed with South Carolina State. He had a PWO offer from USC. And athlete R.J. Brunson of Calhoun County, he signed with Wofford, and he had a PWO offer from USC and some other offers, and he opted to go with Wofford. Good pickup there for both of those schools. All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Since 2002, more than $829 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund lottery tuition assistance for students attending technical colleges in South Carolina. Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. Got a couple lines open on this National Signing Day. By the way, Clemson basketball tonight, 7 o'clock, the Tigers at home against Florida State as they get back to action after a week off. Let's go to your phone calls as we go to Stephen in Columbia. First up here on National Signing Night. Welcome in, Stephen. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Phil?
Well, you know what? It's been kind of crazy today.
Man, it's always crazy this day and age. But anyways, that I really think that recruiting class that Clemson just signed is going to be special. I mean, they're made it back into the top 10. They're not their normal 12, 4 and 5 stars. We've got a big class here, and they've taken some kids from in-state, which I'm excited about. The Lawson kid, that guy won MVP of the North-South game, and nobody could stop him. And I think he had 3 or 4 sacks. Pierman, he never lost a game and won 2 Gatorade Player of the Years and a couple of state championships. The McLeod kid was called the smartest linebacker the coaches they ever seen or coached. So I think there's going to be some diamonds in the rough here. And I think the quarterback room might be as big as wide receiver room. I mean, we went from having little to no options to what did we end up with, 4 quarterbacks in this class?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to count the walk-ons and all that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You got the Knicks kid, out of Alabama. The TJ, the kid that just signed, I mean, he had some unbelievable stats. I don't know what that Catholic school in Alabama was, but, for that many tackles and that many sacks and interceptions for 1 year, that's crazy.
No, his career numbers were off the charts, too.
That's crazy. I don't know why Alabama or Auburn wasn't in there, but maybe they didn't have the crystal ball money. But the transfer portal, John, even Dabo took a chance in screwing up his culture and went in the transfer portal to get a 5-star quarterback.
Well, come on. That was sort of a backdoor transfer portal John move. He had no intentions on taking anybody out of the portal. Johnson fell into his lap thinking he was going to be a GA. And when Dabo found out he had a year of eligibility, he said, come play. So that's kind of a backdoor move.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to screw up his culture. I mean, he's at least been around the program, so he's still protecting that. I do think you'll see some stars out of this group that were 3-star or less that people overlooked. And I like to see them if they're going to take a chance, take it on a South Carolina player, that wants to be there.
Well, and, he's taking 5 legacy players out of the 20 that have signed at this point. 5 are legacy players. And that legacy players, in this case, they don't hurt you in that they're going to be good to the program. They're going to do everything they're asked to do. They're going to try to, develop and become major players like their kin ahead of them were. They got a lot to live up to, but Sweeney feels like each one of them brings something to the table that can be developed. And in time, he thinks he'll have quality players who he doesn't believe will hit the transfer portal. There'll be guys who'll be in the program for 3 or 4 years, if not longer.
Yeah, we'll see whose plan works, whether it be the Ole Miss coach or the South Carolina coach, with all the transfers, or if he sticks to his guns and stays in the high school recruiting ranks. So we'll see which one pans out.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate the phone call. Good hearing from you. 888-898-2525 is our number. Let's go to Bruce in Columbia. Next up here on Sports Talk. Bruce, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, Phil. Thanks for taking my call tonight. Did you have any repercussions on the Duke game last night in Louisville? Have you heard anything about something else going on there?
I tell you, my head has been buried in the sand of recruiting all day long. I know that it was nasty.
Oh, man.
It was Duke. It was North Carolina. It was North Carolina and Louisville last night when the Louisville fans were throwing debris on the floor and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
last night was a strange night. You had that going on. You had fans attacking the University of Texas bus in Lubbock, and the coach of the Longhorns who used to coach at Texas Tech having a police escort. That reminded me of back in 1969, 70 when South Carolina went up to play Maryland after they had the big brawl in Columbia, and the National Guard, I think it was, came out to protect the Gamecocks because the Lefty Drizel said he couldn't guarantee their safety, and they had the police out, all that kind of stuff. Yes, crazy.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Well, that was a bunch of fighting guys anyway. See, I was in Abbeville at that time, and I'd have to watch the game on black and white TV set. And every time, at the end of the game, there was always something going on, like a fight or shoving or whatever with that game. But this was just a free-for-all. It was at the last – it was not North Carolina. And, I thought the fans were going to storm.
Well, the players weren't fighting.
Yeah, they were.
Not a rumble. I know there was a push and a call that went against Louisville, and the fans started showering the court with debris. And I think a technical was called on Louisville. Again, I wasn't paying all that close of attention to it.
3 different incidences where, it was just completely off the chart of a call. It should have never been made that way.
Well, I did see some tweets that people were saying it's the worst officiating that they've seen. Now, that might have been from Louisville people. I did see some tweets like that. And by the way, at the same time, I was watching South Carolina get demoralized by Mississippi State. Haven't mentioned that yet. Gamecocks got treated rudely by the bullies. They got bullied by the bullies last night in Starkville. Not a good performance by the Gamecocks. Just when you thought maybe they were going to turn the corner a little bit. Now they get to come home and play Tennessee Saturday and then Kentucky early next week. Back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, not cooling down much with a cloudy sky and lows of just 51. Tomorrow, cloudy skies and a high all the way up to 74. There's a slight 20% chance of an isolated shower. Friday is a better rain day opportunity with a 60% chance of showers, a high of 72. The weekend is much cooler with Saturday's high at 52 and Sundays at 49. Brian Leonard with you On Point. Local weather.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Democrats' fragile hold on the Senate majority has become vividly apparent with the sudden illness of New Mexico Senator Ben Ray Lujan. Word of the senator's stroke sent shockwaves through the party. Lujan's office says he's expected to make a full recovery, and a senior aide says that barring complications, the senator will be back at work in 4 to 6 weeks. With Lujan's absence, Democrats no longer have full working control of the evenly split Senate unless they pick up votes from Republicans. Already, some routine confirmation proceedings have ground to a halt, threatening President Biden's potential Supreme Court nominee and already lagging legislative agenda. On Wall Street, the Dow by 224 points, the Nasdaq rose 71, the S&P 500 advancing by 42. More on these stories at srnnews.com.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Oh, good, you're home. I need your help.
Doing what?
Replacing our old light bulbs with these new energy-efficient LEDs.
Where did you get these?
Dominion Energy. I ordered direct from their online store. LEDs for every room, all at huge discounts.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. And my 15-bulb order got us free shipping.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. So this is the time of year when we try to be responsible and plan out the next 12 months. I'm not good at it either, so let's work on this together. Go and grab your calendar, whether it's on your phone or on your refrigerator. Find your anniversary, your best friend's birthday, your kid's birthday, your spouse's birthday, graduation day, and write in Melting Pot. We're the premier special occasion restaurant in the Midlands. The Melting Pot.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk Media Network. Good to have you with us across the state of South Carolina. Going to hear from the coaches coming up in a little bit. Sweeney and Beamer from their sessions with the media today. They had plenty to say, of course, about the things that went on at their place today. Both had a lot to do, not just with recruits, but also with coaches and things like that. We also want to give attention to the other signing classes around the state. Going to do that here as we go in and out the next hour or so. So Benedict College today announced the following signees. Offensive lineman Ezekiel Williams out of Snellville, Georgia. Offensive lineman Roger Smith, Maple Heights, Ohio. Running back Noah Scotland from Walhalla. Recognize that name. Running back DeAndre Duhart from Macon, Georgia. Kicker Davis Rogers of Dorman. Defensive lineman Kentarius Perry from Westside. Defensive tackle Dravian Blake from West Ashley. Defensive end Sakaris Smalls from West Ashley. Offensive lineman Malik Pickens from Belton Honeypath. Wide receiver Kendall Norman of Dorman. Defensive back Marquise Tate McDowell of Gaffney. Wide receiver Israel Rhodes of Greer. And defensive tackle Camarion White from Cane Bay. Take a look at what Coastal Carolina did today. They, added some more players to the group they signed in December. Today, they signed Chase Atkinson, a transfer from Syracuse, who's out of Blythewood. Unfortunately, for ease on their list, they don't give you the position. Come on, Shantz, you're better than that. Put the position with the player, for crying out loud. I mean, truly, crying out loud. Former Gamecock Jamar Brown signed with Coastal Carolina. That's one I know, a safety. Georgia Tech transfer Jaquan Griffin. I just don't, I mean, I could click, but it'd take me forever. I don't know the position. 6 feet, 260, probably a lineman. Adrian Hope, transfer from Furman. 6'1", 235. Dylan Luther, a transfer from Western Carolina. He's 300 pounds. He must be a lineman. Joshua Madison out of the College of the Canyons. Transfer, 5'11", 185. Hunter Patrick from Maryland, a transfer, 6'1", 185. Sam Pinckney, transfer from Georgia State. Know him. He's a receiver from Greenwood. And then there's Ryan Black, a high schooler, Rockledge, Florida. John Grant, 6'4", 225 from James Island. Nate Merchant, 6'1", 205 from Easley. And Brooks Johnson, 6'6", 215 from Nation Ford. All right, they all signed with Coastal Carolina today. Coastal, when you put your chart out, put the position in there. It can't be that hard. I mean, really. All right, let's give you another list here. We go to Charleston Southern, who they signed today. Wide receiver Jawan Gray out of Jacksonville. Wide receiver Fred Highsmith out of Jacksonville. Cornerback Jamel Johnson out of Covington, Georgia. Defensive end DeAndre Kennedy out of Kathleen, Georgia. Defensive back Bryce Llewellyn out of McCordsville, Indiana. Cornerback Kalen Walters of Kissimmee, Florida. And defensive lineman King Walker out of Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, that's all for Charleston Southern. Give you the Citadel signees today. And they signed A-back Desmond Boatwright from Blythewood, linebacker Maurice Bonneau Jr. from Rock Hill, defensive back Jacoby Gadsden out of Benedictine Military in Springfield, Georgia, defensive lineman Josh Greenwood from South Point, A-back Corey Ibrahim from Myrtle Beach Collegiate, receiver Hakeem Monroe from Tampa, Florida, defensive back Sam Parada from Chesapeake, Virginia, and offensive lineman Hayes Swillen from Wren High School. They all signed today with the Citadel. And let's give you the Furman rundown very quickly. They didn't do too much today. Looks like they signed 2 wide receivers. I think that's the only additions for the Paladins today. So let's see. That was the early period. And their 2 additional signees are Ben Ferguson, a wide receiver, 5'11", 190 from the Woodlands, Texas, and Ethan Harris, a wide receiver, 6'2", 188 from Air Force Prep out of Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, so that's the rundown for Furman. We'll give you some others from around the state as we move on. Dabo Swinney talked with the media late this afternoon. He had to talk prior to T.J. Dudley signing with the Tigers, so he really couldn't talk about him. He could talk about the others, and he could also talk about other things going on in his program, like the start of spring practice for them, which will be March the 2nd, 13 days ahead of when South Carolina will start. They'll have their spring game on April the 9th. Here is some of what Dabo Swinney said this afternoon.
Appreciate that, Ross. Well, been a great day for us. This has been a little more action for us today than maybe we've had the last few years. Certainly signed half our class in December and the rest today. But it's been a fun day, celebrating another really good group for us. Signed 12 guys in December. As you know, 9 of those guys are mid-years. They're off to a great start. Really been enjoyed, and it's been fun to just kind of see them get acclimated and with their transition in all areas of the program and school and all that stuff, and really seem to be doing very well. Today, we're gonna, we still got, I think we got a decision being made at 4:30, so we got one more out there, but plan to sign 8 to 9 more today, and so should put our class in that 20 to 21 range, which really is just what we needed, to address our needs. Also going to add 11 really, really good walk-on players that I think all have the potential to help us and contribute to our team. But as always, time will tell. But I do believe this group will be another special group that will help us continue to be a great program on and off the field and everything that we do, and help us to continue to be consistent in everything that we do. But every year when we go recruit, we always have specific needs and objectives, and it's always a process, and there's lots of twists and turns as you go through the recruiting process every single year, always has been. But man, we get the guys we're supposed to get, and thankful for that. But the objective is to add talent and depth to your roster. It's always, critical to fill the specific needs that you have, and I think this class has been able to do that, and we've done it with a group of really great young people that I think just happen to be good football players, and man, a lot of great families. That's the other thing that never really gets talked about a lot. Because when you're recruiting these kids, it's not just the kid that's coming into your program. The families are coming with them, and we got a lot of great families that are joining the Clemson family, and we're excited about that. As I said this morning, it was a lot of fun to get back on the road. It was had to kind of get back in rhythm a little bit because it's been so long since we've been in the grind of in and out of schools and homes and planes, trains, and automobiles. But it was a lot of fun, December and January to get back in the fray and reconnect with a lot of coaches. And I think the staff just did an amazing job of finishing our 22 class. But I really I really like where we are in 23 and the momentum that we've been able to get going and just, being kind of on the front end of a bunch of guys and establishing the connections and relationships that you have to have. So really, really, fun time the last couple months. 10 states represent this class. And so again, just, I think our brand continues to be strong and attract interest from all over the country. But certainly we do everything here, from the inside out, and started right here in the state of South Carolina this year. This was a great year for us in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, but you guys signed some guys with Clemson ties already and some younger brothers. So just what did you like about those families and those prospects, and what did you like about the program?
Yeah, you talking about Cole and Kobe? Yeah, Cole's, and Jaheim, yeah, Cole's just, it's just amazing, kind of be honest with you, how that all came about. All I can tell you is just kind of a God thing, because that's exactly how it happened for Nolan, because we weren't recruiting Nolan. And y'all remember after that national championship game in 15, and, Travis and McKenzie and J-Ron and TJ Green left, and I have to assume they're coming back. Because if you don't assume they're coming back and you go recruit people, then and then they come back, now you got to tell somebody they got to go or they can't come. And we don't operate that way here. So, all of a sudden you got to go recruit. And y'all remember the story of Nolan. I'd offered him a walk-on spot a long time ago. And next thing you know, we're scrambling. And we went and got Isaiah. We went and got Trayvon. We got Kayvon. And then we got Nolan. And I just said, man, I'm going to go back and watch this tape. And when I watched this tape, I was like, let me get an unbiased opinion here. And I took it down to Brent, and Brent was like, who the heck is this guy? Where's he at? And it was his exact reaction. I'm like, that's all I need to know. And the rest is history. It was only offer. And this kid's getting ready to go to the NFL. He's been a great player for us, a great leader. He'll be a D coordinator one day. He wants to coach when he's done playing. And then Cole, he was a basketball player. I've known Cole forever, but he was a basketball player, literally. And he didn't play football. And then all of a sudden, his junior year, I guess they talked him into coming out and playing football. And he's playing at Vestavia. And at that point, they'd been running that dang option forever, for 50 years. And so he was just kind of a wing guy, just a good athlete. So not on anybody's radar. And then they had a new coach come in this year and went to the spread. It was actually Kevin Swint's coach from Carrollton, and they went to the spread. And next thing you know, I'm getting a text from Raymond, his granddaddy, saying, hey, you might want to watch this kid. And I started watching him, and I actually talked to him back in November. And I said, hey, I'm just going to try to keep you under the radar here for a little while if I can, because I knew if people watched his tape, he was going to get a lot of opportunity. And that's kind of what happened. He had he had a lot of people, from Notre Dame to other schools reaching out to him as his name got out there and people started watching him. But he's a faster, bigger athlete than Nolan. And Nolan kills him when he hears me say that, but he's twitchy, he's long, he's got great ball skills. He's a big-time athlete. He's a big-time basketball player. This kid, they got a good chance to win the state up there. He's played at the highest level in Alabama and was dominant. And again, this was his first year to play receiver and just blew it up. The great punt returner, great kick returner. Got to throw, just like Nolan, throw his butt in the weight room for a year. But I think he's got high-end potential. So just very, very fortunate to get a guy like that. And then Kobe, obviously we've known the McLeods forever. I've known Kobe forever. And same thing, just kind of chance that it all worked out the way it did. Kobe, Big Ray reached out to me, and I don't know, maybe early November, I guess, because we were kind of locked in. We had guys committed. We were kind of done, and we had two other offers out there, a kid in Florida and a kid in Alabama. And we're just going to take one more guy, and we felt good about where we were. But he wanted to get just a true evaluation of Kobe. So, I told Brent, I said, hey, give me a good evaluation on what you think, because I want to try to give him some good direction here on because he'd committed early and his recruiting had picked up and he was trying to figure out which way to go. And so Big Ray wanted to give him the right advice. So I sent it to Brent. Brent wrote up a great, eval on him and really liked him a lot. And that, if we didn't get one of those guys that he's like, this guy can play. And so anyway, forgot about it, sent it on about our business. And then, we have signing day and we do our thing. And next thing you know, I'm watching the Steelers game and Ray had a big game. I just happened to text Ray, and and they both hit me back. Ray hit me back. And I said, hey, where'd Kobe end up signing? Conversation. And he said, well, he actually decided not to sign because they just had a lot of things come their way and they didn't really know what they wanted to do. So they were going to take January to kind of figure it out. And that was the story on a lot. It's going to be more and more the story, to be honest with you, because there's not many high school kids getting recruited. There's a lot. In fact, a couple of years ago, a lot of these guys that we just signed, they wouldn't be here to sign. So, it's good and bad. It's good that there's a bigger pool of high school kids to recruit, but it's bad because you got a lot of high school kids that are not getting the opportunities that they got a couple of years ago. And you got a lot of them that are having to go mid-year too, whether they want to or not, because if two good players, this kid can come in the summer, this kid can come in January. And, so it kind of forces the portal. So that's how it came about. And when he said he didn't sign, I was like, I went back and watched his tape again, and I sent it to Wes, and Wes's response was exactly the same. He's, and he was blown away by him. He's a really good player. He's as y'all know, a football family. His brother's at Arizona. Ray's with the Steelers, and I mean, he's a tough kid. He's a really, really good kid. Great family. So just kind of neat how that worked out. And then Jaheim, I've watched Jaheim from his whole life. He and Clay Jaheim has spent many nights at my house. He and Clay have played ball together their entire life in about everything. So I've known him well, and I'm really, really proud of him. I challenged him last year because, I just felt like, he was good enough, but I told him he's going to have to earn it. And, there were some things that I wanted to see in him, and, man, he did it. And I'm just really proud of him and his development. I mean, he was a dominant player this year. He dominated every game, and I saw every game but one. He dominated, and he dominated the playoffs. He goes and dominates the All-Star game. I mean, he's a really, really good prospect. Same thing though. He's got to get his butt in the weight room. He's twitchy. He's got some violent hands. He's a great effort guy. He's instinctive. He's much more refined than Shaq was, coming out. Obviously, just simply because of, he's had an example for a long time, and so he's got a chance. He's got a chance to be he'll be a true edge guy. So, he's got a chance to be a good player.
All right, Dabo Swinney, that's just part of it, as you know. Dabo went a long, 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 long time. It's up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and you can hear it all there. After the break, come back and give you more of the signing classes from around the state. Coming up after the top of the hour, Shane Beamer and some of what he had to say this afternoon after losing a couple of members of his administration, and also, of course, bringing in today or announcing transfers and walk-ons, did not sign anybody new to what was signed back in December. Got that coming up for you right here on Sports Talk, and we'll be right back.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career. Just like Kristen, your passion is our purpose.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union.
With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer with DNR. And coming up tonight at 7:30, another edition of SC Wild on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
Sports fans, are you in it to win it? Join South Carolina's fight against COVID-19 by getting your vaccine today. Vaccines are safe and will help stabilize school operations by bringing us back together safely. The CDC recommends everyone 5 years and older get vaccinated. Visit scdhec.gov/VaxLocator or call 866-365-8110 to find a vaccination station near you.
I will continue with the recruiting coverage tonight here on Sports Talk, not just a recruiting segment, but a recruiting coverage throughout the night until 7:30, because it is National Signing Night of 2022 for the fall class, the second National Signing Night. Of course, Seawells sponsors our recruiting coverage here on Sports Talk, and of course, tomorrow, once again, tomorrow's supposed to be big. Got the roast beef on the menu for tomorrow, plus some other good stuff, not just the roast beef.
That's right, Corn. What you were accustomed to getting Friday, you'll have a treat on Thursday this week. Carved roasted sirloin of beef along with southern fried chicken and fried flounder, which I think is relatively new to their menu, but it is quite tasty. And then you can, of course, also get all the fixins, the sides you can fill yourself with along with dessert.
That's great. That's great. And don't forget, of course, the very best in the catering business available for you at Seawells. You got something that needs catering, then call Seawells and let them handle all the heavy lifting for you. 803-771-7385. SeawellsCateringSC.com is how you can find them online. All right. Give you a few other names here from some schools. I do want to mention this. We'll get to South Carolina State in just a moment. They did sign the quarterback, Pro Franklin, from Greenville. So that's a heck of a pickup for Buddy Pugh and the South Carolina State Bulldogs. The reason I'm delaying on them is, once again, just trying to find a simple list that has names and positions and weights, but I can't find one there yet. So I'm looking. We're getting awfully fancy here in our presentation on websites of these signing classes. Just a simple list of names, positions, and hometowns would suffice. All right. Let's go to Newberry and try and check them out. Once again, they've gotten fancy as well. I can't just find a simple list. Whatever happened to lists and faxes and things like that? You got to click on all this stuff, and then the website jumps around like it's sitting on a hot potato. You know how the page jumps around all over the place, and then you lose your place. Okay, and I just lost that. So, all right, we'll skip them. Let me see if I can find somebody that's giving me a simple list. Oh yeah, no, not them. How about PC? Yes, PC. Thank you. So the new coach there, Coach Engelhardt, has signed 16. Here are the PC signees. Offensive lineman Connor Scroggins from Dawsonville, Georgia. Wonder if he knows Bill Elliott. Chase Elliott. Anthony Marin, offensive guard out of Whitestone, New York. He's 290 pounds. Scroggins is 285. Dominique Kirby, receiver athlete out of Cantonsville, Maryland. Ryan Pauley, 285-pound offensive lineman, Carmel, Indiana. Cody Dautrick, 271-pound center out of Melbourne, Florida. Andre Murray, wide receiver from Jacksonville. Ty Engelhardt, coach's son, got to be. 6'4", 185 quarterback from Indian-Atlantic, Florida. Caleb Jones, wide receiver, Orange Park, Florida. Brennan Taranto, maybe Taranto, wide receiver, Western Florida. Tariq Mulder, Tight end out of Lexington, Kentucky, Caleb Francis. Defensive back, Jacksonville. Defensive lineman, Nathan Cantrell of Mansfield, Texas. Defensive back, Malik Lewis of Cocoa, Florida. Cornerback, Sean Lodge of Akron, Ohio. Safety linebacker, Boyce Bankhead from AC, Florida. Linebacker, Jafari Clark from Melbourne, Florida, Palm Bay. So one in-stater at Presbyterian. And again, these are all, I mean, Presbyterian's non-scholarship, so I don't know what they're signing. Maybe they're just signing, what? They're not scholarships. What are they signing? Commitment letters? Anyway, they do have a class of 16 at PC. Back in a moment.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DM.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Biden is deploying about 3,000 troops to Eastern Europe to boost NATO's eastern flank amid fears of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The official announcement came from Pentagon spokesman John Kirby, who said the U.S. is acting to temporarily boost NATO partners in the region.
As part of this commitment and to be prepared for a range of contingencies, the United States will soon move additional forces to Romania, Poland, and Germany.
He said the soon-to-deploy U.S. forces will not enter Ukraine. Russia reacted angrily, calling the deployments unfounded and destructive. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Biden continues to get low approval marks in the latest Rasmussen monthly and daily tracking polls. Bob Agnew reports.
The president earned a monthly job approval of just 40% in January. That was down 2 points from December. His January disapproval rating came in at 58%. February is not shaping up to be much better for the president. His total approval rating for Wednesday, February 2nd, just 39%, with disapproval at 59%. 48% told Rasmussen they strongly disapprove, with a mere 20% saying they strongly approve. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Army said Wednesday it'll immediately begin discharging soldiers who have refused to get the mandatory COVID-19 vaccine, putting more than 3,300 service members at risk of being thrown out soon. The Army's announcement makes it the final military service to lay out its discharge policy for vaccine refusers. The Marine Corps, Air Force, and Navy have already discharged active duty troops or entry-level personnel at boot camps for refusing those shots. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points. The Nasdaq rose 71. The S&P advanced 42. Oil up to 88.26 a barrel. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discounted to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have a bike translator.
Okay, so this bike feels like he's capable of a little more than just trips to the convenience store. Oh, also, he wants to let you know that you can buy a gallon of ice cream instead of a pint every time. Those are his words. So he said roughly like, blink the last wheel. It doesn't really translate, but the way he said it was super funny.
Get 24/7 roadside assistance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Roadside assistance subject to policy terms and limits and may require comprehensive coverage.
CNN President Jeff Zucker has abruptly resigned after acknowledging a consensual relationship with a coworker. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports.
Jeff Zucker says in a statement he revealed his relationship with a coworker when he was asked about it as part of an investigation into former anchor Chris Cuomo, who was fired for helping his brother, then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, during a sexual harassment investigation. Zucker says he was required to disclose the relationship when it began, and he was wrong for not doing so. Zucker has served as president of CNN Worldwide since 2013. I'm Margie Zaraletta.
The travel industry is lobbying Washington for changes it thinks will get more people on airplanes and staying in hotels. Airline and tourism groups want the U.S. to eliminate its requirement that travelers provide a negative test for COVID-19 before boarding a U.S.-bound plane. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, not cooling down much with a cloudy sky and lows of just 51. Tomorrow, cloudy skies at a high all the way up to 74. There's a slight 20% chance of an isolated shower. Friday is a better rain day opportunity with a 60% chance of showers, a high of 72. The weekend is much cooler with Saturday's high at 52 and Sundays at 49. Brian Leonard with you on Point Local Weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Now you got this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, back with you on Sports Talk on this National Signing Night of 2022. Phil Kornblut and Pat Daniel here at our Columbia studios. Shane Beamer coming up for you in just a moment. Clemson and Florida State underway at Littlejohn, 8-4. Clemson is leading 17-39 to go in the opening half. Hall has 4 for the Tigers to lead them in scoring, and Evans has all 4 points for Florida State. Clemson off to a 4-for-4 start from the floor. So good start for the Tigers. Keep an eye on that and other basketball for you as we try to work all that in with everything else. But, of course, foremost on our mind is what's been going on today with the National Signing Day and trying to bring you some of these other signees from across the state, as well as let you hear from USC coach Shane Beamer here coming up momentarily. So we just went over Presbyterian's guys, and let's go to I got to figure out a way to get you some of these other names. Here we go, Wofford. Here's Wofford signees today. Defensive back R.J. Brunson from Calhoun County. Receiver Dylan DeJete from Quebec and from Clearwater Academy International in Florida. I believe that's where Joe came from for Clemson, that same school. Defensive lineman Max Dolansky from Winter Garden, Florida. Defensive back Tommy Miller from Matthews, North Carolina. Linebacker Nick Morgan of Wren. Defensive back Javis Manat from Knoxville, Tennessee. Quarterback Cade Rice, transferring from South Dakota State. He's out of Springfield, Ohio. Receiver Ricky Shaw from Jacksonville, Florida. Long snapper Blake Shirley from Eastside. Wide receiver Cameron Smith from Dayton, Ohio. And wide receiver Carlton Terry II from Conway. That is your list for Wofford. All right. And see if there's anybody else we can get to that's at our fingertips. I guess I should mention, from a Clemson standpoint, I said that they had signed everybody that had been committed to them. And so I didn't mention the other players, the ones who've been previously committed who did sign today. I just mentioned the ones that went public today. So they also signed today Kylon Griffin, the safety from Montgomery, Alabama. Jaheim Lawson, the defensive end from Daniel. Kobe McLeod, the linebacker from Tampa. And Miles Oliver, the cornerback from Villa Rica, Georgia. And Cole Turner, the wide receiver from Vestavia Hills, Alabama. So you got Turner, and you've got McLeod, and you've got Lawson. You have Adams. Those are all legacy players for Clemson, along with Josh Sapp. That's 5 legacy players out of the 20 who have signed with Clemson. 20 players overall. So that's divide to 5 into 20. That's a quarter of your signees are legacy players. So you take a little bit of a risk there in that they're not the highly recruited players. When I say, the tier 1 type player we like to talk about, the ones that get the major offers and have a chance to go to those elite schools, the very top schools. None of those fit that bill. And in fact, some of them you might say based on their offers would be more like tier 2 or tier 3 from that standpoint. But they are players that Dabo Swinney thinks will buy into the program. He can trust to be in the program 3-4 years, maybe longer, develop and become contributing players in his program. And he doesn't have to worry about losing them to transfer most likely and have to go back and fill that spot. One thing that Swinney said in his comments, too, really resonated with me that I hadn't thought about, and that is the fact that you got so many of the major schools who prior to the transfer portal, John, would be recruiting top high school players. But because they're filling up spots with so many transfers, that's opened up more top high school players to be available for schools who aren't living off the transfer portal, John. That makes sense. That pool is bigger now for those schools who aren't going into the transfer portal, John. I hadn't thought about that. So from his standpoint, he sees that as a positive, as an advantage for a Clemson that's not going to live off the. I mean, basically, they didn't take anybody out of the transfer portal, John. Hunter Johnson technically was in the transfer portal, John, but he was going to Clemson as a GA and was going to be a coach. And Swinney found out he had another year of eligibility, and he said, "Come play, and we'll take you that way." So I would say, as far as I'm concerned, Swinney is still scoreless when it comes to the transfer portal, John, which is how I think he wants it to be. I think he wants not to dip into that if he doesn't have to. And so far, he really hasn't. All right, that's the story on that for now. Let's go to Shane Beamer, the USC head coach. He had plenty on his table, not so much in terms of signing players today. He did most of that back in December. He did add to his roster a number of transfers. Here they are, transfers and walk-ons who are part of the Gamecocks roster now. Defensive back Noah Abrams out of Powder Springs, Georgia, 5'10", 175. Running back Christian Beal Smith, transfer from Wake Forest, 5'10", 201. Linebacker Colin Bryant from Alabama and Wando, 6'3", 215. Running back Lavasi Carroll, 6'1", 195 from Georgia and Warrenton, Georgia. Edge rusher Terrell Dawkins, 6'4", 235, transfer from NC State. Offensive lineman Jackson Hall, 6'3", 283, PWO BHP. Quarterback Hayden Lee, 5'11", 185, formerly of North Greenville out of Dorman. Place kicker Jack Luckhurst from Arizona State and also out of Santa Barbara, California. Spencer Rattler, quarterback from Oklahoma out of Phoenix. Defensive back Devontae Reed from Central Michigan out of Detroit. He's a grad student. Tight end Austin Stagner, Plano, Texas out of Oklahoma. By the way, he's the only one of the transfers who's not arrived in school. He's still finishing up classes. He had 4 classes to finish at Oklahoma, and he is finishing that up before he gets to Columbia. Running back DJ Twitty, transfer East Tennessee State out of Richmond. Wide receiver Antwain Wells, who is a transfer from James Madison out of Richmond, who goes by the nickname of Juice. And the ones who have enrolled already in January, Abrams, Beal Smith, Bryant, Carroll, Dawkins, Hall, Lee, Luckhurst, Rattler, Reed, Twitty, and Wells Jr. The only one who hasn't is Stagner. With that, we give you Shane Beamer from his press conference today in Columbia.
All right, great. Appreciate everybody coming out. Hope everybody's having an awesome week. Obviously, February signing day is a little bit different than years past. With the signing period in December was with Robbie Lyles. Many of you know Robbie from his time here before. I was with Robbie last night at an event in Charleston, and we were laughing about how in February, the old signing days when guys like Sterling signed, you were in here early, and his job was to put the paper in the fax machine and make sure it was ready to go and get the biscuits in and all that stuff as well. I'm not like that anymore. That's what December is now. But certainly a lot has changed with our program since the December signing period with the young men that we've added to our program via the transfer portal. So excited about those guys as well, and the way that we've improved our roster. It's a really good group of guys that we've brought in, and coming out of the December signing period, knowing where we were and some issues that we had at certain positions that we knew we needed to take care of. We were very strategic in how we did that with attacking the guys that were in the transfer portal at certain positions and making sure, one, they're great players, but two, they're the kind of people that we want to bring into this program as well. And had some fantastic visits with all these guys, and fortunate that we've been able to bring these guys into the program, and excited about the impact they've made on our program already and what they'll continue to do going forward as well. So I'll let you guys talk about or ask about any of those guys individually as we go forward, but really excited about the group. It's good to be back in the office from being on the road the last couple of weeks. Certainly recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. So I love going out to high schools and love, being able to go in the homes and sit down with young men. But the best part of the job is being here in the building with our guys, and have missed being around them. So it's great to be back and get entrenched with them here in February. They've been with Coach Day and the weight room, the strength and conditioning staff since they came back early in January. And then they're doing an awesome job in there. Really excited about the work they're putting in, and it's great that we're now back as coaches and have a chance to jump into the middle of that and get back into football. As we go through the month of February, and then gearing up for spring practice, which is right around the corner. Practice number 1 on March 15th, that Tuesday. So a lot of work that we have to get done as a football program, football team before then, from a self-scout standpoint, going back, reviewing last season, then preparing for spring practice. We have a lot that we have to get done here in the next month as we continue to recruit as well and take advantage of this awesome momentum and awesome energy that we have in this program since the bowl game and since what we did last season as well. Excited that we've been able to add a guy like Sterling Lucas to our program. I know I talked about him the last time we met when he had first gotten hired, but he wasn't here, that day as well. So it's the first time you guys are having a chance to visit with him. But I was excited about this hire when we decided to hire Sterling, and then after having a chance to be around him the last couple of weeks on the road recruiting, even more excited. I know Coach White is very fired up about what he'll bring to the table, what Sterling will bring to the table from a football standpoint with his knowledge and the systems that he's been around in the NFL. But he's hungry and eager to recruit and has done a great job on the road. I know Coach White put it out on Twitter. We were with him in Jacksonville about 2 weeks ago, and he told him that was training day for Sterling. So we flew down there, got down to Lake City, Florida about 8 o'clock in the morning, and spent all day driving around Florida, finished up in Jacksonville. And then I flew back to Columbia, and Coach White drove somewhere and Sterling drove somewhere. So it was like sending your son off to college, watching him drive off on his own to go recruit by himself the next day. But he survived those last 2 weeks, and Coach White trained him well. But in all seriousness, he'll be a great resource for the players that we have in the program and a great recruiter, South Carolina native, Orangeburg Wilkinson grad, and one of the ones that we let get away, one of the very few we let get away back in high school when he chose to go to a different school to play. But certainly fired up that he and his family are back in Columbia right now. And then before we get into any questions, I know it's come out with Coach Kimmery and Connor leaving the program. Wish those guys well. Those guys are leaving on fantastic terms here at South Carolina. Eric and I have been talking about this potential opportunity for the last 2.5 weeks that he had, and I know that wasn't an easy decision for him. I'll let him talk about his situation more when he's ready to do that. But, I can say that it wasn't an easy decision for him. He loves this place, but what a great opportunity for he and his family, and excited for him, thankful for him and the impact he made on our program in year one. I know how much he loves Columbia. I know how much he loves the University of South Carolina, and excited for the next chapter with him. And like I told him yesterday, he and his family, they're Gamecocks, and they're always welcome here. And then same thing with Connor. Also, this is something that Connor and I have been talking about for, I don't know, week and a half or so. Also an opportunity for Connor Connor's brilliant and will be successful in anything that he wants to do. And this is an opportunity for him. That's a new challenge outside the athletics world. That was something that he was in a little bit before he came to work here, at Carolina. and an opportunity for him from a financial standpoint, long term, everything. It was a great situation for him. And same thing with Connor. Like he asked, "Can I come around regularly?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I mean, to me, the only difference is he's just not going to have an office downstairs, but he's still going to be around here a lot, still be around our players a lot, like I want all of our former players to be able to do as well. So Connor, no greater Gamecock than Connor Shaw, and hate that he's not going to be downstairs next to Derek Moore in that office each and every day, but love both those guys and wish them well, and excited for their futures as well. So with that, and before we get to Sterling, if anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Shane, in terms of the class, I know the 7 of the freshmen early enrolled. Are all the transfers here? And then with your PWOs, how many of those guys can come here right away and go through spring?
Yes. Every transfer is here except Austin Stogner, and that's just because he's finishing up some classes at Oklahoma, but he won't be here. Austin won't be for spring practice physically, but he'll be able to come around, and be here. He just won't be in school here at Carolina. He needed, I think, 4 classes to graduate from Oklahoma, and I didn't want him to get that far and not be able to graduate. And then some of the walk-ons that we've added are here right now, and then the rest of those guys will be some of the ones from last weekend that made announcements will be here in June for summer school.
You announced 21 signees. Can you explain in kind of simple terms for the simpletons here what your numbers actually look like with the transfers counting, and like, do you still have some scholarships available for this class? What are your plans for that if that's the case?
Yeah, I wish I could put it in simple terms for the simpletons. Is that the word? I'm still trying to figure it out, Phil. I'll be honest with you. I've got all the scholarship numbers on my desk, and it looks like a bunch of hieroglyphics and all that stuff that I put on there. I got so much writing and things like that. We do have the ability to add some more players if we chose to. We're no one that we're actively recruiting right now as we speak for this year's class. I'm sure after spring practice across the country, you'll see some people that enter the transfer portal after spring practice because they maybe find out that the roles on their team coming out of spring practice aren't quite what they want it to be. Hopefully that doesn't happen to us, but it's just the way it is nowadays. We may have some attrition here. I don't know. I hope not, but we'll see what happens after spring practice and what happens between now and then. But we do have some flexibility if we need to add some more players to the roster.
Hey, Coach, with Spencer now on campus, just how important was it to get him here early? I mean, especially as a quarterback going into spring ball.
Yeah, huge because of that, the quarterback position, just because it's such a, leadership position, and developing that chemistry with the receivers and tight ends and running backs and the offensive line and the entire team. And then just for any position, Mike, just to be able to, get guys here and one of the reasons we had the success that we had last year was because so many of these transfers came in and we were able to develop a really tight team. By the time we got to the season, they got tighter as the year went on. And the more time that you have together, the better chances you have of doing that. And, I think Tyrese Ross came in the summertime, but other than that, I think all the transfers that we played with last year were here for spring practice, and we're essentially in the same boat this year with other than Austin. But like I told David, Austin's going to be here quite a bit during spring practice just on his own as well to be around the guys. So the earlier you can get them in, the better. And it's awesome having Spencer and all these guys here right now as well, where you have 7 months until you start practice.
All right, Shane Beamer, some of what he said today, it's all on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. As we go to break, Clemson is leading Florida State 20-12, 11 minutes to play in the opening half. And Tigers shooting it well, 66.7% from the floor. Honors got 5, Hall's got 4. And that's the top of the scoring chart for the Tigers. Florida State is shooting 42% from the floor at this point. 20-12, Clemson up 11:04 to go in the half, and we'll be back.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer with DNR. And coming up tonight at 7:30, another edition of SC Wild on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
All right, very quickly, Adam Schefter reporting Jim Harbaugh has called Michigan and told them he will stay as their coach despite interviewing today with the Vikings. All right, Newberry signees. Says it'll transfer Jamar Blandon. He's a linebacker. And these are did I say Newberry? These are Newberry signees. Tavian Brentley from Palmetto Prep. He is a defensive end. I have to go one by one here to be able to open these things up. Luke Clyburn, a tight end from Camden, signing with Newberry. Coy Cutshaw, offensive lineman from Newberry. Not going to travel very far. He can probably walk to school. He's going to Newberry, from Newberry High to Newberry College. Carson D. Armand, wide receiver, a transfer from Western Carolina. Angelo Donata from Gardner-Webb, a quarterback, transferring. He's out of Blythewood. Angelo Donata from Gardner-Webb, transferring to Newberry. Christian Draper from Bamberg Earhart, offensive lineman. He's going to Newberry. Demarion Elmore from Woodruff, a running back, going to the Wolves. Wesley Fletcher. And Wesley is a defensive back out of Carolina Forest, and he's headed to Newberry. All right, and then it's Demarion Ginn. He is an athlete from South Aiken. Darren Goss. Come on. Hang on. Darren Goss. I hate this. Offensive lineman from Georgia Military out of Carolina Forest. I'm sorry. Gage Gunter. Gage Gunter, wide receiver from Gilbert, going to Newberry. Okay, Gage Gunter. Tyler Haley, quarterback from Beaufort, headed to Newberry. Noah Harmon is a linebacker from Richland Northeast. Of course, Newberry pretty much signs nothing but in-state players. Noah Harmon. Justin Hedgepath is a running back from Mid-Carolina. All right, he goes to Newberry. Ethan Jordan is from West Oak. He's an offensive lineman going to Newberry. All right, and Jaden Kennard. Jaden Kennard is a defensive back from Dutch Fork, headed to Newberry. See who is up next here. Jaden Kennard. Gene King Jr. He's a defensive lineman from Conway. Okay. Also signing with Newberry. Gene King Jr. was our last one. J.D. Lawson. J.D. Lawson is a defensive back from Spartanburg High School. Signing with Newberry. All right. And then we've got Gray Leapart. I think we talked about him before, out of Gilbert. Tight end signing with Newberry. Gray Leapart. Nathan Lynch. Nathan Lynch, outside linebacker from Dixie over there in Due West, signing with Newberry. Noah Mangum. Noah Mangum from an offensive lineman from Presbyterian, transferring to Newberry. Okay, not going to get all these in, dadgummit. Zach Martin. Zach Martin, offensive lineman from PD Academy, going to Newberry. See if we can get one more in here. Mason Meyer from Bartram Trail, Jacksonville, Florida, defensive back, signing with Newberry. All right, that's what we got for you so far. Coming up, SC Wild next here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast, not cooling down much with a cloudy sky and lows of just 51. Tomorrow, cloudy skies and a high all the way up to 74. There's a slight 20% chance of an isolated shower. Friday is a better rain day opportunity with a 60% chance of showers, a high of 72. The weekend is much cooler with Saturday's high at 52 and Sundays at 49. Brian Leonard with you On Point. Local weather.
Imagine a hot, fresh pizza just the way you love.
Oh, baby. At Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, we're all about the love.
Our pizzas start with hand-tossed spring water dough. We then add the freshest toppings and bake it all
with love, baby.
Salads, hoagies, and beer from around the world, too. Come enjoy the taste you love at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With love.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting President Biden is ordering 2,000 U.S. troops to Poland and Germany amid the stalled talks with Russia over the Kremlin's military buildup on Ukraine's borders. The U.S. is also moving roughly 1,000 troops to Romania from an infantry squadron based in Germany. U.S. officials from Biden on down say no American forces will be sent to Ukraine itself to fight, even with the threat of a Russian invasion. Still, Russia reacted angrily to the latest troop announcement, calling it destructive. The United States says the new military movements are meant to reassure allies and remind Russia of America's commitment to NATO's eastern flank in the region. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points, the Nasdaq rose 71, the S&P 500 advanced 42, oil up to 88.26 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
Hi, honey. Were you able to drop by Tree Pharmacy today to pick up Mom's medications?
Yes, she sure is on a lot of meds.
I know. That's why I go over so often to help make sure she's taking them correctly.
Well, I have great news. The pharmacist at True Pharmacy said he can pre-pack her medications into individual doses.
Wow. Knowing she's taking the right meds at the right time will give me great peace of mind. But how much does it cost?
That's the even better part. It's free. Just another great service they offer at True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Devine Street downtown.
Hey, Tiger fans, 2022 Clemson baseball season tickets are currently on sale. Coach Monty Lee and your Clemson Tiger baseball team open the season on February 18th, and you can be there for every game by purchasing your season tickets. Home series include matchups against Miami, Florida State, NC State, Georgia Tech, as well as our annual home games against South Carolina and Georgia, and many more. So log on to ClemsonTigers.com to purchase your Clemson baseball tickets and come back home to Clemson.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced, but just
Shop for 12 years in a row.
we repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
And it's great to have the Major Billy Downer with us here on Sports Talk, the Citadel man that he is. And I'd just like to begin by updating a basketball score tonight for you, Major, knowing how you're tied into the Citadel sports scene. Citadel's playing Furman tonight, your bitter rivals up in Greenville. With 4:27 to go in the first half, Furman leads 56-21.
Well, I was afraid to even ask. That's funny.
50.
I don't want to be a negative, but I'm Swanee. We've never been very good at basketball.
Well, you had that time there with Les Robinson where you were pretty good, and also there are a couple of other moments. But my point is here that Furman, with 4 minutes to go in the half, already has 56 points. What were they shooting, Pat? 81% from the floor. Amazing what they're doing.
Remember, there's a book by Pat Conway called "My Losing Season."
Yeah,
it's about basketball.
Absolutely
terrible.
Maybe your most famous alum, Pat Conroy.
Yeah. Probably is one of the most famous. You're correct.
Anyway, it's
for
great
lots of things.
Great to have you with us. Hope things are going well for you and around the office there with the DNR folks as we've dug out of another little bit of snow last weekend. And our forecast looks what? We pretty good here moving forward the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think we're good the rest of the way. It looks like, I was trying to get us in on a weather little chat tonight. We're going to get that coming eventually. But, yeah, Puxatawny Phil apparently says 6 more weeks of winter, so. There we go. That's the word I got official.
Well, if it's a winter like we've been having, I'm not going to complain because it's been pretty fair for us. I know some parts of the state, I can't speak for them. Some parts of the state have had some winter and had some issues with power and roads and things like that. But for the most part, of course, the interesting thing is this last storm that came through socked the coastal area and the eastern part of the state more than the rest, didn't it?
So it did go in the Horry County. It was last weekend. Kind of, the area that was supposed to get snow didn't get any. Mm-hmm. The York, Chester area up north, northern counties did not get anything. Again, York, Chester, Union got nothing. Sumter, Lee, the upper part of Sumter County, Lee County got some good snow. Over toward Clarendon County, the 95, and then on up a little bit got some snow. In fact, some folks in Clarendon County got more snow this last weekend than they did the week before. So it was hit and miss. You literally laugh when you get a forecast that says 0 to 100% chance of snow. What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's like hedging your bets. You're not going to lose. The weatherman's never going to be wrong when you do that. But, you're really getting nothing out of that.
Yeah.
0 to 100%. I was like, this is worthless to even put out there, 0 to 100%. But anyway.
At least we're not in the Midwest, and I think the Southwest is getting hammered. Chris Bergen is with the Coastal basketball team, and they're in Arlington, Texas, and their game tomorrow night's been snowed out or iced out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they got a bunch of stuff going on there, and I know up in Chicago they're expecting 8 to 12 inches of snow up there. New York, I think, has had or is getting some more. So thankful for where we are and what we've got. What's going on out there in the outdoors? What kind of seasons are we into now?
So we had a dismal end to a dismal season for waterfowl on Monday. The season went out and just it was this past weekend. The season went out and it was just there wasn't a whole lot of brightness in it. It was bad. So we got a little cold weather here, but we didn't really get a big push of ducks. Again, like I've talked about, waterfowl seasons have been pretty dismal, pretty few and far between. Some people have had a few lucky shots here and there, but for the most part, a really slow season. This weekend and next weekend, I want to mention this, our federal youth days are this Saturday and next Saturday, 2 Saturdays in a row, the 5th and 12th of September. Legal species to hunt: ducks, geese, mergansers, coots, moorhens, and purple gallinules. Veterans and active duty military who hunt on these days also.
Did we lose Major? Stand by, Major. I think we lost your line there momentarily. We'll get you reconnected. DNR's Major Billy Downer, SC Wild, with us here on Sports Talk. We have a line that's apparently frozen up. Maybe it's gotten cold. See if we got the Major back with us. Hello, sir.
I'm back, sorry.
Yep. That's cool.
This weekend, the 5th and 12th, is the federal youth days. Again, ducks, geese, mergansers, coots, moorhens, gallinules, that's the whole thing. They're all legal for the 5th and 12th. Only hunters 17 of age or younger can hunt on these days, but they must be accompanied by a person at least 18 years of age. Youth who are 16 and 17 years of age who hunt on these days must possess a valid South Carolina hunting license, migratory bird permit, migratory waterfowl permit, and a valid federal waterfowl stamp. So your daily and possession limits still apply for those days. The limit for scalp is 2 on the youth day. But again, so youth days for 17 and under. If you're 16 and 17, you got to be fully licensed. Other than that, if you're 15 and under, you don't have to have anything. Just go hunt. But you have to be accompanied by an adult at least 18 years of age. Now here's the kicker. It started last year. So people got a little confused on it. But these 2 dates are also veteran active duty military days. So veterans and active duty military can hunt on this Saturday and the following Saturday as well. They must possess a valid South Carolina hunting license, migratory bird permit, migratory waterfowl permit, and a valid federal waterfowl stamp. So they've got to be fully licensed, but they may hunt on the 5th and the 12th. So that's a little twist there. Just a little thank you to the veterans out there. That they can hunt on this day. So again, a lot of people don't know about that. That happened, I think, last year, the first time we did it. It kind of threw all of us for a loop. We didn't understand it. Nobody knew exactly who could hunt, but they certainly can. So that's this weekend, the 5th and the 12th, are federal youth days and the veteran active duty military days. So that's coming up.
Are these designated days that are something that have recently been put on the schedule?
No, so the youth days have always been there. The veterans hunt days have just been that got changed last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really the second year where they can go out and hunt. A veteran can go out and hunt that day, or an active duty military can go out and hunt that day. So we always ask people. People ask, well, what do I have to prove I'm a veteran? Well, a copy of your DD-214 or your veteran. Your active duty card. For your base assignment would be required to show that you're active duty or a veteran.
Let me ask you this. This is SC Wild DNR with Major Billy Downer. You have a question or comment for the Major, you can reach us, 888-898-2525. That's our phone number, 888-898-2525. He's here to take your questions, comments about anything with DNR, anything with the great outdoors. As we're moving towards spring, I know around the state of South Carolina, there are a number of shows that'll be coming up, things related to the outdoors, to boating, fishing, hunting, whatever else you can do in the outdoors that can be sold or put in an exhibit or a fair type setting. I know we have the always fantastic Sportsman's Classic with put on by DNR coming up in March. What are some of the things with that we should be looking forward to, as well as some of the other festivals like that coming up around the state that you know about?
Well, I think one of the funny things I just heard today about the Classic is I'm learning there's a huge following now for Bo Gator. One of our DNR officers began doing some outtakes on social media to promote boating safety.
Mm-hmm.
And he's from Berkeley County, and he has got all that going for him. And he is from deep Berkeley County, and his nickname is Bo Gator, and he has developed quite a following by tens of thousands following him on social media now, which has been interesting. It gives us an avenue to help people see some safety tidbits about boating safety as far as wearing your life jacket, PWCs, and just other items he's done. But it's been funny to watch. But I think Bo Gator's going to be live at the Classic. Yeah, Bo Gator's going to be there live at the Classic.
When you say deep Berkeley County, exactly where are you talking?
You know,
that makes it sound like you're talking way back in the woods or something.
Oh, he's out in the woods for sure. Oh, yeah. He's out in the woods, and he has got a deep dirt Berkeley County draw for sure, way more than a southern draw. And he's a lot of fun. Great officer, great guy. He's in our education section now. Does a lot of good work, but he is getting quite the following, Bo Gator. So he will be at the Classic. You know, the state duck calling competition will be at the Classic also on Sunday of the Classic. That's always a hit in the youth, the junior duck calling championship. The winners of both of those will receive a lifetime hunting and fishing license.
Have you ever
pretty nice little gift?
Have you ever been a judge in a duck calling contest?
I have been a judge, and I have participated in the state.
Well,
before.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure back in the day when you had the I mean, it looks like maybe you got in your own. Is that a talent that erodes over time?
If you don't use it, it sure does. You got to have lots of, and the older you get, the less wind you have. It takes a lot of wind and a lot of gut there to blow that out, blow that duck call to get the high ball going. But yeah, I've never won a trophy in it. I've had fun doing it, met some good people. I did win a shotgun one time. That's my claim to fame. I won a shotgun one time.
Well, what separates a winner from the field?
So in a duck calling competition, it's simulating. It's simulating a duck hunt, and you're going to start off with a high ball toward those ducks coming to you from a distance, and it's going to transition down into the ducks come past you, they start to go away. You're going to do a comeback call to get them to turn around and come back. They come back in close. You start doing a feed call, and you're going to transition back into where you lay those ducks on the water, basically set them on the water.
Mm-hmm.
So in your head, you kind of envision these ducks way off, and you call them, they come to you, they pass, you call them back, they come around, you get them to set in and hit the water. There's a lot more to it as far as the finite pieces of a calling routine. And it does become more of a routine than real hunting because there are certain elements required by the judges so they can judge you. The high ball, feed call, a comeback call, a transition in there. So a couple different things in there, make it fun. You can always add a little bit of your own to it. And that's what makes, it an interesting contest because somebody adds a little bit of a ducky sound to it, a little bit different. And sometimes the judge likes that, and that'll help them out. But sometimes it's all about that high ball and how long you can blow it and how loud you can blow it. So they want to hear that high ball go out and extend for a while and at least 16 to 20 notes, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
But that will be the last Sunday of the Classic, both the state duck calling competition and the junior state duck calling competition. So to be in the junior, you have to be 16 or under. So
I got to believe that attracts quite the crowd and quite the following when they put it on.
It has in the past. It's gone down over the years, but it's coming back now. So we're happy to have that at the Classic. The State Duck Calling Committee placing it there. Harry Hampton's sponsoring that. They're the ones, the Hampton Wildlife Fund is sponsoring the lifetime license for it. So it really makes it a little bit more of a competition, a little fun because, when you can win a lifetime hunting fishing license is worth it. So we're hoping to see a little bit more of a turnout. And now that COVID's over, the Classic's been off for 2 years, and we hated that. I mean, that's our big time to really show off the department and just really enjoy seeing the public in a fun atmosphere, and then chance for the public to buy all sorts of nice, hunting gear, fishing gear, boats, you name it. And it just, with COVID, it just knocked it out, and we're glad to see it coming back this year. Hope COVID will continue to slow down so that folks can come in and enjoy the Classic after a 2-year hiatus, as it were.
Yeah. What are some of the other weekends that are coming up over the next few weeks, months that you might know about along the same, maybe not as grand, not as large as the Classic, but they're nice in their own right?
Well, I'm trying to look right now. The Charleston Boat Show comes up pretty soon. I'm trying to think. When is the Charleston Boat Show? I'm trying to see when it comes up. It's coming up. No, this month, January 28th and 30th.
Mm-hmm.
That just happened this past weekend, so I missed that. Sorry. That was this past weekend. But then we got Seawee is coming up this month after Valentine's Day. It's always generally on Valentine's Day weekend. But the Southeastern Wildlife Expedition is a huge event in Charleston. Thousands of people go to that.
Yeah.
How involved each and every year.
How involved is DNR in that?
So we've got exhibits all across Charleston. Mostly we're at Brittlebank Park. It's the February 17th to the 20th. And that's at Brittlebank Parks where we are what they call the conservation. Well, we're in two places. I'm sorry. We're at Brittlebank Park and we're at Marion Square in the Conservation Village. The Conservation Village where they have like our exhibits or different parts of our department. But at Brittlebank Park, we have our heritage trailer with the kind of rolling history of wildlife conservation in South Carolina. It'll have the number 5 white-tailed deer ever taken in the state, the 5th largest in the state in there, as well as the stories about how white-tailed deer were reintroduced in the state, the black bear, and the wild turkey. So it's a pretty neat trailer. That's the heritage trailer. And that'll be at Brittlebank Park over there across on Lockwood Avenue across from the police station. That's also where they do the air dog competition, the dock dog. And they do some retriever demonstrations over there, and all of your of the guides and so forth and outfitters are there as well. A couple of different outdoor vendors are there, but again that's at Brittlebank Park. But at Marion Square downtown under the Conservation Village is where a lot of DNR exhibits will be. You can go there to see our aquatic education, our aquatic programs, our Officer Association will be there, manning booths as well, and that's downtown at Marion Square. Of course, the artwork's all throughout the town, throughout the hotel, spread out through Charleston. So for more of that, go to Seawee. Basically, you go to Southeastern Wildlife Exposition or seawee.com, SEWE, to find out the schedule and events that are coming up for Charleston. But that's always a big show. Again, I'm going to say it's over 40,000 people show up in Charleston, probably more than that.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So
a lot of money changed hands there, right? With the purchasing of the pictures and products and things like that. It's a big money making venture.
There's a lot of artwork there for sure. Downtown at the Omni or at Charleston Place, they have the huge ballroom full of artwork. Anything from just you name it, the artists in there. All different types of art, different styles of art, wildlife, fish, exotic wildlife from across the world, African game, you name it, birds, birding pictures, lots of pictures there, different paintings, prints, excuse me. Both print and originals are available. And so that's in Charleston Place in the main ballroom there. There'll be some that's always antique firearms there as well as a display there. And the Gill Yard is where they do some of the different knives. A lot of the knife vendors will be there. A couple of gun vendors will be there. Some really neat arts and crafts type will be at the Gill Yard as well. So that's kind of the place to be in 2 weeks down in Charleston. It'll be busy. It'll be hard to find. You won't be able to find a hotel this time. I can promise you that.
And if you can find one, it's probably going to be a little pricey. Yep. I'll repeat that. If you can find one, it's probably going to be a little pricey.
Yes, it's going to be pretty. Yes, it's probably pretty pricey this time. At this point, yes.
Yeah.
But Seaweed's probably the biggest event between now and the Classic. Again, I missed the Charleston Boat Show. That was this past weekend, but that's always in the end of January. I forget that, somewhere right there in the end of January, 1st of February.
Mm-hmm.
If you have never seen the air dog or the dock dog competition at Brittlebank, that's a lot of fun.
Now, what is that?
To watch the dogs. So that's when the dogs, you get an owner or a handler, and they take the dog and run them down basically a runway, and they jump into a pool of water with a measurement throughout the pool, and they basically judge dogs on how far those dogs can jump off the dock or off the ramp. It's called the dock dog competition. It's a lot of fun, and that's at Brittlebank Park as well. That's on the website. You can see that right there. But yeah, I mean, you get dogs that jump, well over 20 feet. Pretty amazing.
So,
in the air, straight out.
I mean, like, how far of a running start do they get before they have to jump?
I can't remember exactly how far it is. It's not far, Phil. I mean, it's not, but about probably no more than 20 to 30 feet, maybe, at the most, on the runway. Maybe 30 feet on the runway, 10 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times what they train them to do, they take a dummy or a toy or something, a ball, and they run with and they throw it up in the air, and the dog jumps in the air to get to the ball, and that's what helps them really get some air to get out there. But these dogs train on this, man. Some dogs just really have a natural ability to jump far, so it's a lot of fun. I'm looking online right now, and the end of the pool is like 35, 37 feet, which is unbelievable.
Which breed does the best? Which breed has the greatest spring?
It used to be a lab-driven competition, Labrador Retrievers, but there are all sorts of dogs that jump now. It doesn't matter. There's all sorts of dogs that jump, even mixed breeds that jump.
Well, I imagine like a poodle can't jump very far.
No, but I think some shepherds I've seen doing it now, shepherd mixes. But it was predominantly labs for a long time. But there are different breeds in it now, or smaller dogs that are jumping that got a little spring in their step, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Do the people really get into it? The owners and the viewers, the
They do.
walkers who stop and watch.
They do. It's a lot of fun to watch that. That was kind of the dock dog gets a lot of attention at Brittlebank. They got the retriever demonstrations also down there that are pretty popular as well. And then if you're looking for a good hunting trip, going through the outfitter tent is pretty neat there at Brittlebank. There's a lot of outfitters from across the country and also across the world. You got African hunts, you got South American hunts to do doves and waterfowl. You've got out west, mule deer, you name it, different types of hunts available. So it's pretty neat to go through the outfitter tent and just see some of those offerings that are there, as well as a few, duck calls. Vendors are there, turkey call vendors, because turkey season's right around the corner. So that's the next thing you're going to hear the most of at the Classic and Seaweed. You'll hear turkey calls coming out of it.
And Corn, believe it or not, you could take Winnie down there to compete in the dock dogs if you'd like. My old Fox Red Lab Yeller, we used to compete every year in that.
Old Yeller?
Absolutely. Old Yeller, he absolutely loved it and compete each spring down there at Brittlebank Park. It's a lot of fun. Seaweed Festival, I promise you, anybody out there that has any remote interest in the outdoors, you will find plenty to do, even if you just make a day trip down to Charleston. It's well worth it.
And bring your dog, because everybody does.
That's right.
That's great. That's great. All right. Some final thoughts from you, our last 90 seconds. What words of wisdom do you want to share?
Well, again, there's still hunting seasons going on. You got quail out there. Dove just finished up here, but quail's open. You got rabbit season still going in, and you've got coon season. If you're out there hunting, just make sure that you know where your others in your party are hunting, know where to swing your gun, and keep in your safe zone of fire, so we can all be safe out there.
Those are great words. Major, as always, we've enjoyed it. Have yourself a great couple of weeks, and we'll catch back up with you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much. All right, Major Billy Downer from DNR, another edition of SC Wild here on Sports Talk in the books, and make your plans to get to those events, those festivals. Sounds like a lot of fun, and I know that you will enjoy All right, at halftime, Clemson is leading Florida State 45-36. Tigers being led by Honor with 10, and Bohannon with a big first half. Never said that before. Offensively, he's got 9, and Hall has not scored since scoring the early 4. Only played 8 minutes, had a couple of fouls. They must have sat him. Hunter had 5 points. Understand he had kind of a shoulder issue, had to go into the locker room. He only played 9 minutes of the first half. Tigers, they shoot 61%. Florida State shoots 48% in the first half. And Clemson 5 of 10 from 3, 6 of 8 from the line. Did turn it over 9 times to Florida State's 5. And Tigers getting a lot of bench support tonight with 25 points off the bench. So they kind of spurted there toward the end of the half to take the lead. In some other scores, you've got Florida edging Missouri 66-65. You have got Radford over Charleston Southern. 10 minutes to go, 43-37. Notre Dame 30, Miami 28. Kentucky 41, Vanderbilt 31. Is Hampton 40, Upstate 33. Furman hit 14 threes in the first half. Leads the Citadel 63-31 at the half. Campbell over PC 32-29. Wake over Pitt 46-24. Arkansas leads Georgia 53-47. That'll do it. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.